What's up, guys? Max here. I've had a lot of requests over the years to do a rig rundown. So, to celebrate the release of my guitar course, which I just dropped, super excited about it. I've been working on it a long time. It's a full course. The link is down below in the description. Check it out. I've decided to do a rig rundown kind of video. Now, this won't be a rundown of my main rig that I would do big tours with the Main Squeeze, my band. This is for a different rig, but arguably equally important. So we have a show in just a couple of days here in Indianapolis. It is our pre-Thanksgiving party that we do every year, the Squeeze Giving. It's at the Vogue Theater. If you guys are in the area, definitely be there. It's going to be an awesome show. It always is. But for a show like that, we are going to fly in the day before the show, play the show, and then on Thanksgiving, the next morning, I'm going to fly back to the West Coast to go be with family and have Thanksgiving. So it's like a crazy turnaround. But essentially, I need a board for those kinds of fly dates, a travel board, if you will. And I've had a travel board in the past, but I decided that I wanted to build one that's even more compact and that sounds even better. So the idea kind of started with this board by D'Addario, the Expand 1. It's a really cool board. Shout out to D'Addario for hooking that up. And obviously, super small, super low profile. From there, looking at pedals, right? So my idea is to fit as many mini and nano pedals on this board as humanly possible and get it sounding as good as my main rig. In order to do that, I bought way more pedals than I would need, and we're gonna do some shootouts today to determine what the best sounding mini pedals are. Then we're gonna get the board together and we're gonna hear how it all sounds. So I went a little crazy on the Sweetwater order. Shout out Anthony at Sweetwater for always taking care of me. We have a multitude, a smorgasbord of mini pedals. All different brands, different types of pedals. And then we already had some pedals. Okay, here's my mini Crybaby, which is, the best option for wah in a small format. And to be honest, I think it's a great pedal, period. I actually have a mini wah on my main board. I think it sounds great. I may replace that at some point, but I haven't really felt the need to do that yet. Then we have the MXR Phase 95. Again, I took this off of my main board. I think it's a great phaser. We have the Jimi Hendrix Octavia Fuzz, which has sort of just the fuzz face sound in it, and then when you throw that on, you get the Roger Mayer Octavia sound on top of that fuzz face sound. So this has a lot of great tones within it. I think this is a great fuzz. And then over here, the only non-mini pedal on the board, I just couldn't live without it, the Strymon Flint. Beautiful pedal for what it does. And you guys are actually going to get to hear a pretty cool shootout with the Flint, because as we come over here, I want to show you guys the gear we're using today. Okay, so the guitar is a Gibson SG Modern. I don't know exactly what year it is, but I think it's within the last 3 years. Thank you to Gibson for lending this one out to me for my fly dates and travel shows. This is a really, really nice instrument. It has some cool features that sort of give it the modern tag, I guess. For one thing, you got the 24 frets, which is really nice because we get this high E note, which is great for our solo peak moments. And we can even get that F sharp up, maybe, if we're feeling it. And then another cool thing is we have push-pull coil tapping on both pickups. But to be honest with you guys, if I was going to coil tap on humbuckers, I would probably always have them both tapped, because to me, the best coil tap sound on a Gibson or on any humbucker is going to be the middle position, both pickups engaged. I'll use that for sort of a funk thing, a nice thin kind of rhythm. But then there's things about this guitar that are pretty true to the original 61 SG. This neck joint is perfect. And this, I believe it is a slim taper neck, just like my prized SG. That's the 1986 62 reissue. And, you know, as some of you guys may know, I've had some issues with losing it, having it stolen, all that fun stuff. Not to mention, flying with it is nerve-wracking because, you know, flight attendants are always trying to get me to put it under the plane. And I'm like, you guys, look at this neck joint. This thing could crack. But I don't know, for some reason they don't understand. But long story short, I fly with this one. This one stays home. I use it on all the recordings. And I'll probably use it on the long tour where it gets to be in a van with me. Okay, now let's look at the amp. Here we have my father, David Newman's 1964 Princeton Reverb amp. Everything's original, the speaker, everything other than the tubes, obviously. This is just an absolute classic amp. It sounds amazing. And we're gonna have it set really clean. So there's kind of three categories of pedals that we're looking at today. We have the pedals that I already had. Those are already on the board. Then we have these two pedals here, the EHX Pitchfork and the T-Rex replay box. These are kind of their own category because they're new for the board, they're new for me, but they don't really have any competition. These are definitely going on the board. I've done my research. This is an amazing pitch kind of pedal. I use the Digitech Whammy on my main board, and I even use the Whammy Ricochet on previous travel boards, but I have a feeling that this is going to be able to do almost everything that my big Whammy 5 can do, which is just incredible. I'm really excited to hear that pedal. And then the T-Rex replay box is going to be for my tap tempo. It's a digital delay with tap. I had a Boss DD5 on previous travel boards, which is a great pedal, but this one's a little bit smaller, and it's got the subdivision switch, which I think is pretty cool. You know, you can choose dotted eighths, triplets, or quarter notes, and the interface is just super simple. So I have high hopes for this one. And so, yeah, I mean, those two pedals, they're going on the board no matter what. And then the final category is pedals that we're shooting out. So these pedals are analog delays. And this is actually a new thing. I've never tried this on a board. I kind of stole the idea from John Mayer's rig. But I wanted to try having an analog delay that is set to always be a slapback. Just kind of that little bit of thickening on your tone. Not that it would stay on always, but just that it would always stay set as a slapback delay. The replay box would do our rhythmic delays and our longer delays, and the analog delay would do our slapback. So we're going to shoot those two out and see which one we like better. And then, of course, we have the overdrives, right? So in addition to the fuzz that's already on there, we're looking to fit 3 of these 7 pedals on the board. The SL drive and the Plexi drive, which are both based on a Marshall from the 60s or thereabouts. That's going to be our highest gain overdrive, and it's really meant to emulate the sound of a Marshall. Then we're going to find something for our medium gain overdrive, and then something for a low gain boost, sort of a lead boost. And I have a feeling that any of these 5 could work as either of those, but we're going to try to figure out what's the best as a boost, what's the best as a medium overdrive, and they're going to have to work together really well because that's kind of how I use overdrive. So you guys will see all of that now. We're going to do everything on the SG Modern today because this is the guitar I'll be using on the Indianapolis gig and that I use on all of my fly gigs. We got the Snark tuner on there because when you need to put 4 or 5 overdrives on a pedal board, you just don't have room for a tuner. You know, and that's fine because we have the technology to allow for that. So the Snark is great. It's hidden here behind. All right, so here's the clean tone, just the SG into the Princeton. pristine sound. Showing you guys the coil tap thing real quick. You know, if we want that funk. As a sidebar, like with coil tapping, a humbucker, you'll never actually sound like a Fender, but you get something cool, you know, you just kind of thin it out. You get a little bit of variety. I'll use that every now and again. And so we're going to do the shootout and all the testing of the rig on a super clean Fender amp. And that's by design, because next week, and really on every travel gig that I do, I'm on a backline amp. And so what that means is they're going to provide the amp. I don't know how good the amp is going to be. I don't know the state of the tubes or anything like that. That's kind of the nice thing about Fender amps, is that any production year, super reverb, twin reverb, even deluxe, the Hot Rod Deluxe, I've gotten fine tones out of that. If I can get a Fender amp, set it clean, and I have a board like the one that I'm going to create today and show you guys, then I'll be good. So obviously using the Princeton, that's like the holy grail of that sound, but I'm going to get something close with any Fender amp. Sometimes they have other stuff. Sometimes they have Vox, sometimes they have Mesa Boogie, but they always have Fender. So this is just kind of how I've done it over the years. That's been my almost foolproof method. Now, sometimes they'll give you an amp where it's so busted you can't even get it clean and you're fighting an uphill battle, but you know, you deal with it and you still make that work. So first we're going to do the pedal shootout, and we're going to focus in on the overdrive sounds, because once we get our gain staging right, everything else is going to fall into place. At that point, we'll set the board up and we'll hear everything all together. I'll show you guys how I use all the pedals on the board. So let's jump into it. So we got our overdrives plugged in. I think a good first step would be to just hear all of them. I have them set pretty much everything at 12 o'clock. And we're just gonna have to start to get a feel for these things, because I don't want this video to be 2 hours long. Once we start to get a feel for how these things work and what they feel like at different gain levels, then we can start reordering things. We can get our favorites for boost and our favorites for mid gain, etc. Kind of want unity gain for these, unity volume. Let's get a little delay going. A little less on the repeats. Sounds nice. Let's check out the Timmy. All right, much quieter. Just get rid of some bass. Maybe add in a little treble. The Timmy feels like thicker. I like that. Let's try all three of these real quick. By the way, I don't know what that switch does, and I'm kind of happy I don't, because then I have no bias. I'm just going to pick whichever one sounds best to me. That made it sound more similar to this Tumnus. It's just less. like that middle position. All right, so that's feeling good. Let's move on to the Duke of Tone. So we're on the boost mode now. It's really nice. Really like this Duke of Tone. It's really just giving me feels pretty transparent, for lack of a better term. Obviously that term gets overused. Let's move on to the Nobles. Feeling like this is going to be a mid-gain thing. This is just so clearly doing something different from the other ones we've seen so far. And we're just going to lean into that by turning the gain up a little. Just see how much of a thick, creamy sustain we can get. Sounds nice. So that's the Nobles. That's our front runner for mid-gain. But also, while we're on mid-gain, why don't we hear the Duke of Tone in the OD setting? You get the drive up. Try backing the tone off. I much prefer the boost setting on this pedal. So I'm dialing that back in. I love that. Okay, let's move on to the Tube Screamer. The much storied, much maligned by some, but just undeniable, right? Get a little more level. I actually like the Tube Screamer. Let's hear it. It's sounding nice as a boost. Let's try it as sort of a mid-gain thing. Sounds muffled or something. Let's try more overdrive. It's very Tube Screamer, kind of. We're getting the gain up and we're getting the level up, but it's very compressed, whereas this feels wide open. Okay, the only other one that we haven't tried as a mid-gain very dark. It is nice. These sound very similar, so what's going to be the determining factor for me 9 times out of 10 is which inspired me to play the best stuff, which did I feel the best playing on. Okay, so my gut is saying that actually the Timmy and the Nobles are best suited as our mid-gain overdrives, and the Tube Screamer, Duke of Tone in the boost position, and the Tumnus are going to be best as our boost pedals. So let's rearrange and get that moving. Tube Screamer is now a boost, and now the Timmy. Alright, so now we're building a real lead tone, because when we use these, you know, this is kind of our level 1. This is our level 2. And then this is level 3. That's starting to sound really creepy. That, but that's just kind of feels louder, whereas this felt there was more of a synergy. Still both great. Maybe just a little more gain. That's nice, but and that's really stuck out to me so far. It has a really nice clarity. Tube Screamer is my least favorite. I don't know, maybe it would work better with a Strat or something, or maybe it needs to be modded to really get the best sound. Let's move to the Nobels. A lot of sustain. In a venue, I could start to get that feedback. That's special. Wow. That has a crazy amount of clarity, and it actually does feel transparent. Tumnus does something more to the EQ curve. I don't know if it's mid-hump or what. People throw out words, man. They don't know what they're talking about. So the two MXRs, it will definitely won't be the two MXRs. I can tell you that right now. That's a really tough call. So it feels like we're closing in on the Nobels. Okay, so before we go any further on those, let's jump into the plexi stuff. Interesting sound. Let's get rid of the mids for a second. It's got kind of a fizziness. I want this for our like hard rock stuff. Let's go with mids on, or let's try the lows. It's actually nice, I don't mind that. And then let's try the mids. It's a more kind of classic rock. Very nice. SL might have more gain on tap. Plexi drive has maybe more mid clarity. Let's see what we get by messing with the tone. And the Plexi has more lows for sure. Let's get this tone knob up a bit. Tough call because I kind of like the gain that's on tap on the SL, but the overall tonal quality of the Wampler Plexi drive I like better. But I think just the fizziness on the SL might kind of rule it out a little, and I get so much control. So let's try a boost into it. Doesn't react as much. It's kind of loud. Probably if we wanted to do that, we'd back off here. So this works much better into that, I will say that. Yeah, these are super close. They're both working really well with the Duke of Tone as a boost into them. But yeah, the Plexi might edge it out. And I like that it's white. It kind of pops. So, I mean, at this point, those are the kinds of things that are going to go into the decision. You know, it's going to be a really close decision. So it's going to be small things that edge out one or the other. So the last decision to make is Tumnus or Duke of Tone, because I'm pretty set on Nobles. Alright, so what I'm realizing now is the Duke of Tone works better with the Plexi drive, and the Tumnus works better with the Nobles. So that's annoying. I mean, that's a cool sound though. This just brings out the fizziness more. Alright, I think we have our decision on gain staging. We're going Tumnus as a boost. We're going Nobles as a mid gain. We're going Plexi drive as our high gain. Alright, so we're starting to build out the board here. Now we need to make a quick, hopefully quick decision about our slapback thing. A, do we even like it? And B, which one is better? So let's get a slapback first. That's what we want. And then low delay time. It's nice. Cool. Now let's get this MXR going. Very similar. This is definitely lower. There we go. What do you guys think? Let's try this. That's a tough one. They sound very similar, and they both sound really good. The Ibanez is more pronounced, maybe? I feel it more like, oh, that's there. Whereas the MXR is just kind of inconspicuous. MXR might be slightly in the lead. Guys, this might come down to which color we like better. I know, that's super lame. But pink, we don't have one. You know, it's not really pink, it's more purple. I was expecting it to be pink. Maybe we should hear the other delay sounds just because, yes, we're using it for slapback primarily, but if we ever bring this to a studio session where we actually have time to tweak things, maybe just having more sounds will be useful. So we'll turn up the regen and the delay. It's nice. I did do that on purpose, guys. Don't worry. There's a part in one of our songs. Cool. Let's try this one again. I don't know. All right, so the carbon copy made it on. I think it was just the shininess, if I'm being honest. It was shinier and a little bit lighter, not as heavy. They were both great. That was the toughest decision, I think. Nothing's Velcroed in yet, but this is what it's gonna look like. The most maximalist mini board of all time. And real quick, I just want to give you guys, now that we have everything, kind of a rig rundown of what this board can do. So we'll start with the Pitchfork. I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but the idea for this is to get almost everything I get out of my whammy. And one thing that the whammy could do that the Ricochet, which was what I had formerly, could not do was add a fifth harmony. So, and this is pretty tricky, but you have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so there it is. So that's adding a fifth above my note, which is important because we have a new song called Wildest Dreams, and this is the chorus. Get that with a little reverb. New song off of our upcoming album. The record of it isn't out yet, but we did play it on our Live from Mojave set. If you guys haven't seen it, definitely check it out. I'll link that one down below as well. Had a ton of fun recording that. So that's one sound from the Pitchfork. Another one is going to be just adding an octave. Let's actually cut a little volume. And if we add a little. Just to give us something different. During the show. And then if I click this, I can get an octave lower instead, which is really nice. If I want to get really riffy, man, the sizzle on that is nuts. Cool. You could even take the blend so that it's only the bass note. I don't think I would use that in a squeeze show, but maybe if I was in the studio and I wanted to get a crazy bass sound, that could be nice. For the most part, we're going to leave the blend right there. And the only other thing that I see us doing would be setting the sweep and setting it to momentary mode. And so then we would do the blend this way. So that is doing a pretty amazing whammy impression right there. Okay, so moving on to the wah, self-explanatory. It's a little scratchy, figure that out. Phase 90, or Phase 95 I should say. Let's get rid of this. nice rhythm, funky rhythm. I like that speed. You can go a little faster if you want. Which is nice. You can also go slow. This sounds really good with a lead. And then if you want something more subtle, you can hit this button and get, I think it's half the poles or something. This is the 45 sound. You can hear it better right around here, but I just find it to be a more subtle phaser, more subtle modulation. So I just want to switch it up. It's nice to have that push of the button. Another sound on the Pitchfork that's really cool is the detune sound, which in essence is just a chorus. Check this out. Love that. That's something that I do on my whammy as well, so really happy with that actually. I'm all about bang for your buck with these pedals. I don't like kneeling over and doing too much. I like to set it and leave it, but if with just one push of a button I can get something very, very different happening out of a pedal, that's ideal for me, especially in a live setting. In a studio setting, we can tweak things, we can take all the time in the world that we want. But for live, I want to set it and leave it. And then maybe if I can just get a few quick tweaks that give me something very different, then I'm super happy with that. So this Pitchfork is really nice. Let's move on to the Fuzz. The Fuzz is going to have 2 or 3 tones that I really like. First one is turning the Fuzz up a lot. You get this kind of synthy. That's really cool. Crank up the volume a bit. The other main tone here is to turn the Fuzz down and to turn the octave on. Turn the Fuzz down more and get a pure Octavia thing, because the Octavias, the originals, they didn't have any fuzz. At least not really. You know, that the classic Hendrix sound was the Octavia with the fuzz phase. So if you have just the Octavia going, you could throw that on with like an overdrive. The overdrives were pretty solid on, as well as the carbon copy. And the replay box has just been great. I've just turned it on and pretty much forgot about it. It's doing exactly what I want it to do. Okay, last thing, I want to feature the Flint a little bit. It's nice because we have sort of what the pedal is based on, which is the 60s Fender tube amp that has a spring reverb in it and real tube tremolo. So let's actually do a little shootout between the Flint and the original Princeton reverb and see how it stacks up, because I have a good feeling about it. First we'll get just the reverb on like 5.5. So nice. So you can really hear the springs. Just a classic sound. We go 60s here. Let's see what we're looking at. Close already. Maybe a little less decay. Mix feels good. Let's just mess with this. Yeah. So there's a certain springiness to the Princeton that is just undeniable. Listen to the character of that trail. That's crazy. It has it a little, but you know. Take the decay back up. But again, like we were saying with some of the other pedals, at the end of the day, when I turn that reverb on and I play the Flint, I feel inspired and good things happen on the guitar and in my hands, and ultimately that's all that matters with pedals. So it's not going to get the exact Princeton thing, but it's close enough in the sound that I'm going to play good guitar when I'm using it. That's all we care about. Let's mess with the tremolo. Let's put the intensity at 5. Super subtle, but it's great. The speed is also at 5. Here's the Strymon. And here's the Princeton. Very close. I think we're getting even closer on the tremolo than we were on the reverb. Okay, so you guys just heard most of the tones that I'm going to use on this board. There are more, but this video would be like an hour if we went through every single one. Namely, the Flint can do a lot of different things. That's one of the big reasons that it's on the board, because not only do you have the spring reverb, which is kind of for that vintage artsy thing, there's also a really great plate reverb on there, which is the 70s setting, and that's kind of just a subtle everyday reverb. And then there's the 80s setting, which is a hall, and that can give you anywhere from ambient, never-ending reverb to like just a beautiful, long reverb for like a singing lead, David Gilmour style. And then on the other side, on the tremolo side, not only do we have the tube tremolo, which we were shooting out against the Princeton, but you also have the harmonic tremolo, which is just a really different sound, and it kind of almost flirts with being a univibe type sound, so I love that. And then the photo cell thing is just totally trippy. So again, I don't like to be messing with this stuff too much during the show, but having all those different sounds in such a small board is pretty epic, and you feel very comfortable going into a show and you feel like you have a full palette to paint with. So I'm going to get everything Velcroed in, the power supplies and everything like that, and then we'll do sort of a final reveal and wrap things up. All right guys, we got it done. Everything's all Velcroed in, looking clean, and even more importantly, sounding amazing. Very, very stoked on this board. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in Indianapolis at the Thanksgiving show. See this baby in action. Check out my Patreon. My whole 50 lesson guitar course is live. Check it out. Check out all the Main Squeeze tour dates. We'll see you guys out on the road, and I enjoyed this, so I think we'll do another rig rundown soon, maybe of the main one. Got to make a few tweaks before that, but should be fun. Later, guys.